Alright, top 5 mid-mage build in patch 9.6. Here we go. People have been asking for it, so I'm giving it. And here we go. Alright, first off, we're going to start with Eset. Eset is a god that does a lot of burst damage, or mainly her damage comes from her burst of her 2 and her ult. So with this knowledge, we're going to start off with a Sands and a Book 1. And we're going to do... do we want to do 2 mana? The Eset? Yeah, no. We're going to go 2 health, 1 mana. Of course, this bug is out. Reason for being, you really won't be burning mana too much on Eset. Her 1 full clears the waves, there's not too much spam, and you're not really looking for anything early game as Eset. You're kind of just sitting there and farming. So yeah, and then whenever you can back for book 2, you just back, don't greed. If you haven't used your potion yet, don't greed it. Just back for book 2, come out of base, you're strong then because you'll have your tier 2 item, which is, what, I believe it's 60 power? 65 power, so don't greed it, just get it. Oh my, this is so buggy. Alright, so after that, we're going to finish a Book of Thoth. The reason we're going Book of Thoth first is because we are completing an item that needs to be stacked up. It's really important to get this stacked up first because it's not super efficient on buy, and you want to finish this off as soon as possible. The next item you're going to go into is going to be a Warlock Staff. The reason why you go Warlock second and not first is, again, Warlock is a very efficient on buy. So yeah, it's just efficient on buy. It doesn't really give you anything full stacked up, so it's not that important to stack up. It doesn't need to be stacked to do what it needs to do, but book definitely does. So yeah, that item. Then we're going to go into a Shard. Reasoning for Shard, it's just because when you do a double stacking build like this, you're not looking for a CDR or like more spamming abilities. You're just looking for an instant burst combo. If your abilities are hitting really hard and you have your percent pen, you have 30% pen on this, 40% on your first ability, which are most likely going to be your Spirit Ball. It's going to chunk and it's going to hit really, really hard, and it's really hard for a frontliner to frontline against this because you are hitting so hard. Again, obviously, it is a very, very slow build. You are scaling with this build, so you just want to make sure that you're farming it out. Once you get this Ob Shard, that is when you're spiking super, super hard, and that's when you can start fighting with people or looking for fights with your jungler, looking for fights with your support. Before then, you're not really that strong. You're kind of just slowly scaling up. So just keep that in mind when you are doing this build. Fourth item, I would go into a Reaver. Obviously, every single mage needs Reaver right now, especially with the base health increase. Reaver is just way, way, way too much value. So make sure you're always having Reaver in any of your mage builds. It's needed. It's a forced item. And yeah. Fifth item, actually technically your fifth item is going to be finishing your Pendulum of Ages. You're always going to finish your starter before you're getting your last item here. So your fifth item will be your Pendulum of Ages upgrade. So just farm that out. And then last item, this is where it becomes situational. You can either get a Soul Gem for more CDR. You can get a Mirrodin for, again, more CDR, but percent pen. And then you have 40% pen, 50% on your first ability with Ob Shard. Personally, I'm a huge Mirrodin fan, but if you can't farm out 2600 gold in the late game, then just get Soul Gem for the spike. And then Slam Dunk and E-Staff. And E-Staff if there is tanky frontline, heavy CC, and or if you just need extra survivability, then I would get an E-Staff. It is more expensive, obviously, but you get CCR health and you can steal frontline's health. So if it's a big, juicy, meaty target of a bunch of health, definitely get E-Staff done. So yeah, that's this build on Eset. Reasoning for the build, just she doesn't have that many abilities that do damage. Her only ability to damage is coming from her 2 and her ult. How to level her abilities, I would say put 3 points in your 1, max your 2, and put points in the ult when you can, after the 2 is maxed, and then start leveling your 3 up. Don't max your 1 ever. Her 1 is just not the damage, it's just too slow. And you're just a kill target if you're 1-ing because you're animation locked. So people will abuse that. So yeah, that's how you build her. Obviously, I can put relics in here. Always beads. Beads is a necessity. You don't always have to go Aegis. You can go Aegis. If they have a lot of auto attackers, get yourself a shell. If they have, I don't know why I can't put upgrades, but get yourself a shell, and then if they have things like Gilgamesh, Ganesh ult, or anything that you need slow immunity from a nemesis or anything like that, get yourself a Heavenly Wings. Your basically goal on Eset is, as long as you're living and you're pumping out your damage and you have your ults and you have your threes and you can keep applying the constant annoyance of CC for frontliners, then you're doing your job. So anything that does that is really, really important. So yeah. So just again, keep in mind the general thing with Eset and going this build specifically is that you are very slow at starting off. You have to fully stack your book. You don't need to stack your warlock, but then you need your shard, and once you have your shard spike, that is when you're doing your abundance of damage. It does not matter that you don't have Reaver versus characters that have a lot of health. But again, and then obviously once you have your Reaver, then you're on Uber spike mode and you just want to fight as much as you can. But the goal obviously is to keep farming. You can play aggressive when you get book spike. It is pretty good. You will always lose to physical mids or stuff like that that do just normally outscale you, but you outscale with this build really hard, and late game you chunk frontline. So my personal build that I always do is this exact build, and then I usually always slam my soul gem. If I need CDs constantly resetting, then I go Mirrodin. She's not the best CD reset god, but yeah. So I would recommend soul gem 99% of the time, but this is my personal preference. So that's Eset. We will do Merlin next. A god that has been buffed from the conduit changes. Conduit changes are really big for this god because it enables him to do his OG build. So with Merlin, he's definitely a mana consumer in the early game. So in the early game, you're going to need a mana pot, even if you have Conduit, even if you have Sands, Lost Artifact, the most MP5 you can get. Even if you're getting totems, he's just a mana burner. So you're going to need a mana pot here. You can go 1-1 because your first back is going to be 850 gold. You get that at 10 seconds left of your red buff as long as you're farming efficiently. So yeah, instantly I can just put it here. Once you can get this item, you just want to back this item as fast as you can. If not, like I said before, you can do your green buff on spawn. Why is this so buggy? You can do your green buff on spawn. It'll be around when your red buff is at 10 seconds, 9 seconds. You can do it on spawn. You don't have to back, but you just need your jungler to help you with red at that point. So yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else? That's about it. Alright, so Merlin's build is a little bit different. You're going to want to go into Chronos Pendant because he's a button spammer. The more buttons that Merlin has, the better off he is, because he's a character that constantly applies on hit effects, that being Soul Gem, E-Staff, Reaver. So the more buttons he gets out, the better off he is. His early game is really weak, but this helps him out clearing wise and running around and farming as fast as you can to get online. Then you can either go into an a Soul Gem here. You can go into a Divine if they have any healing. Or you can go Mirrodin. Personally, I've been going Mirrodin. I don't really like Soul Gem second. I don't think it really does too much for you. It's survivability over Mirrodin, and it's 300 gold cheaper. But Mirrodin kinda has a lot of value with Merlin. So with Merlin, I've been going Mirrodin. It's okay. You're not like uber spiking here. No matter what item you go here, you're not going to spike unless you're on flat pen. Flat pen gives you a window to kill frontline very, very fast. So yeah, but personally, I've just been going Mirrodin. I think it fits the build curve really well. And also the tier 1 and tier 2 of this item gives you the 10% CDR, which helps him, again, just running around and farming as fast as you can. Third item here is always going to be a Reaver for him. Just too good of an item. Your goal with this build is not to hit hard, it's just to spam your yellow damage numbers. So, and then you're going to go into Shard, and this gives you a 30% pen with Mirrodin and Shard. You basically spike. Technically you spike once you have Reaver, but you really are hitting hard when you get shard. This is really important to get shard, farm that out as fast as you can. So, yeah. Shard, important, and yeah. Let's go into the next item again. Since you're on your fifth item here, it's always going to be your starter upgrade. Fifth item will always be in any build your starter upgrade. So you finish your starter. This then enhances the Reaver because Gem of Focus is damage increase, which increases your Reaver, and also allows you to move faster, damage increase overall, and yeah, damage reduction, which is pretty fat as well. Especially with the base prod increase on backline, Gem of Focus, really big. Last item, you can either go Soul Gem. Personally, that's what I go. Then I have my 40% CDR, and I have my extra proc item. If you don't want to, you can go into a E-Staff here, if they have a really beefy frontline and you have to like chop down on the health and take it away and stuff like that, and consume it for yourself. Or you can go into a... What would we like here? What else is there? We can go flat pen item if you want, if you need it. You can go MAGES to increase your damage. Yeah, I would say MAGES is most likely going to be your other option. You don't really have that many options. I would usually say a MAGES. Rod is just way too expensive. I mean, if you have 3k gold and you can buy Rod, buy it. But then you're down a 500 pot if you're buying Rod, which is all these items have more power if you buy Rod and 500 pot. So, yeah. Oh yeah, true. Actually, you could go Poly last here. Poly actually not that bad of a last item here instead of Soul Gem or E-Staff. It helps a lot. If you're gonna be uber dove, Poly helps a lot. Just helps you kill the person faster. It's a riskier item. So it can be either MAGES or Poly, and then personally I just go Soul Gem like 99% of the time. I'm just a big Soul Gem fan. CDR, health, helps you live versus divers and stuff like that. So, yeah. Relic choices, always going to be beads. You have the option of Aegis always. Again, same thing as before. If they have a heavy auto attack comp or walls, get shell. If they have a comp where you can utilize heavenly and get the hell out of there, you can go heavenly and skirt out of there. Super zoom fast. Yeah, why this build is so different from Eset is because Eset doesn't really have a million buttons to proc things super often, where Merlin has a million buttons that are big AoE circles. So it's really important that he has every single proccing item that you can possibly get. And then Gem of Focus just enhances that, and Conduit helping out his early game, which is his weakest point. So again, with this build, you're basically just trying to get these 4 items, and then you're really strong. You're technically speaking strong with Reaver. It can go either way. Sometimes it's really good on Spike. Sometimes it's really bad on Spike. Yeah, I highly recommend kind of playing for your Shard Spike. You can fight when you have Reaver Spike. You can technically fight when you have Mirrodin Spike. It's just going to be a lot slower of like burning people down. But once you have Shard, that's when you're uber spiking. And yeah, especially with Merlin though, make sure that you are focused on farming. That is the most important thing. Merlin needs farm. So farm it out. Make sure you're farming. It is very important. All right. On to the next god, Yuguang. Alrighty. Yuguang here. The gods are in no specific order. Just top 5 mages in general. So yeah. Here we go. Oh. Hi, Lita. Alright. So Yuguang, new god, new mage. He got buffed. He utilizes Conduit really well. Personal preference here. I'm a big Conduit fan on Yuguang. I'm also big focus. He doesn't really consume that much mana. He has pressure early as well, just because of his bouncing autos, similar to X-Ball. He's a big ability spammer, in my personal opinion. I don't think he's a one-shot macro god. That's just kind of by his damage numbers. That is just not what he does. So I go away from doing the double stacking build. I don't do the dual more build. I don't think he gets value from it. He's just not that type of god. So what I do is I do this start again. Not a mana consumer, so I go multi-potion. I can fight and play a little bit more aggressive. I back whenever I have tier 2 Lost Artifact or tier 2 Chronos Pendant. And what my build is going to go into, I have Chronos Pendant, so different than Merlin. When you have Chronos Pendant on Yuguang, you can actually play much more aggressive because of your ult. And basically, once you have Chronos Pendant, and you have your ult, you want to spam your ult as much as you can, whether you hit it or miss it. Just make sure it's on thick boy mode. And when you pull someone, just try to get their bees, do damage, just damage check. Literally all the time that you can. It's a low CD ult. Just keep doing it over and over and over again. So yeah, Chronos Pendant Spike, really good for this god. It doesn't really enable you to do that much damage. You're just more of a beads burner and a constant poking, annoying god to face. And unlike Merlin again, he can utilize Soul Gem much better. Just because it's a cheap CDR and he can spam poke. Personally, again, I go Mirrodin. Just because Mirrodin with Yuguang, you're starting 90% of your fights with your ult. So you have just a lot of buttons that you want to spam. I highly suggest doing it. Mirrodin, starting your fight with your ult when you're full Dow and just owning. We'll go into a Reaver next, similar to Merlin build. As you can tell, the build doesn't really change that much. You're gonna go Shard here. Once you have Reaver with this god though, that is your main spike. Your main spike's not from Shard, your main spike is from Reaver. Because that's when you can start really just pounding frontliners and just keep poking them over and over again. So yeah, that's when you start once you have Chronos Pendant, Mirrodin, Reaver, that's when you want to start utilizing your spike. Once you Shard, again, it's not that big of a spike for him, but it still helps him out a lot. 5th item, as usual, all mages. You finish him a focus here. Just because, again, it's just on par on spike, because you'll be like level 18.5 by the time you finish Shard, usually. Gem of focus, you just farm that out, you don't buy another item, just farm out your 20 spike at that point. And then you go into a, personally I go into a Soul Gem here. Just a Soul Gem Fiend, last item. Again, if there's super beefy tanky frontline, E-Staff. And then he actually uses Poly pretty well because of the root. So you can go Poly. I usually don't, I always just go Soul Gem. But you have a Poly option here again. You can just 2 auto someone, or you can, if you have Dow for your 3, you can, and you're getting Dove, you can Dow get up in the air, instant knock up, and Poly proc them, 1 them, before they can touch the ground, and then you do a lot of burst damage right there, which actually can stop you from getting Dove, like, a lot of the time. Again, this god's a lot safer than Merlin. So you can get away with not going Aegis pretty easily. I always suggest just, you have the option of going Aegis every single game. Shell, again, if they have a lot of auto attackers. Sprint, again, if you need anything. Ganesh-ul, Gilgamesh-ul, yada yada yada. All things. Here. What would you say the build will fit in? Divine? Instead of Mirrodin here, if they have a healer, always go Divine. You just lose your CDR, and then if you have to go Divine here, then this last item is between Mirrodin and Soul Gem, and then you don't go E-Staff. So yeah. So perfect case scenario. They don't have a healer. Good call on that. I forgot to add that in there. That is what you're going. So yeah, that's going to be the build path that you're going to go on Yuguang. Personally, just the god's base damage numbers and stuff like that, he's just naturally not a one-shot burst mage, and his farming I've run the god with Warlock's book, and he just farms so slow. Like, his clear is just slow. So usually I don't like going stacking on the god. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It just takes too long, so I don't do it. You can go it if you want. The god is just not, in my opinion, designed for one shot. When you have full CDR in this god, he has 4-second cooldowns, 5-second cooldowns, and you're literally just a button masher. And IMO, he's just OP. when he gets to that point. He just does so much, and yeah, he's just a big spammer. Big spammer. So yeah. That's what I recommend for Yuguang. So yeah. That's third, and then fourth, I'm gonna go with Post. Post is a unique build, really fun god. Oh, so much fun. So much fun to play this god. If you can't find anything that you're having fun with, this god is so much fun to play. Especially with the current build that you can do. Different start here. It's a little bit riskier, so you just have to be really careful with your HP trading and just have your jungler around to help you clear camps and stuff like that. For me, this is what I do for the start. You get 60 power with restored artifact. You have a lot of mana sustain. You can, in theory, go a multi-potion here instead of a mana pot. It's kind of up to you on how greedy you think you can be with consuming the potions and stuff like that, or how much of a mana spammer you are. If you're a mana spammer, you just want to slam things and get your dopamine, then you get rid of this multi-potion, get a mana pot, play it safe, just be really careful with your health trading. So after this, you can either sit at a base and farm out, what's it called? You can farm out 1600 gold, and you can come out of base with Bomba's Dagger and Karen's Coin, or you just get Karen's Coin, which technically isn't the best spike because it's just a 20 power increase, but it's fine to do it. And then you go into a Bomba's Dagger here, which helps you clear camps a lot faster. This is important for pose. Bomba's Dagger, because you can clear camps really fast, and your Bomba's Hammer Spike late game is very OP. It's very important to do that and run around, slam it. Yeah, just make sure that you get Bomba's Dagger. Trust me on this. It's a lot better than probably what you're doing. You just run around and hyper farm. So you have one movement speed item here. Then your next item is going to be a Doom Orb. Okay, you go Doom Orb and you run around, zoom fast. You go as Karen's Coin first, by the way, because it's cheaper. So I recommend doing Karen's Coin first, just because it's a cheaper spike. And then you can get Bomba's Dagger earlier on, which helps you hyper farm and clear a lot faster. And then to a Doom Orb. And then now you have your double movement speed here. A lot of people have been going Toxic Blade as of recent, and just max movement speeding all around the map and gaming out. Personally, I think it's very situational. I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not the biggest hater. But Post with full movement speed just so happens to be one of the more frustrating gods to face. Then you can go into a Reaver here, which just helps you kill frontline. And then you can go into a Rod, just because he utilizes the Rod. I don't know why I can't upgrade it, but you would go into the attack speed Rod. I don't remember the name of it. I don't build it very often. The Rod that gives you attack speed. Or you can just go into Nimble Rod. Thank you, Jisho. And then you can go into a I lost my train of thought. Oh, or you can go into a Mirrodin here instead of Rod. But I forgot this. Just do this in order. You want to go Bomba's Hammer here. Buy your fourth item. You should be always getting Bomba's Hammer here. And then just slam dunk a last item Mirrodin or last item Rod, and then upgrade that to Nimble Rod. What I would swap out for Toxic Blade is probably, honestly, I would just move this back. I would just put a Reaver here third, into a Mirrodin, into a Bomba's Hammer, into a Rod, or you can go a Pythags, just because post with any type of lifesteal just allows you to heal a lot with your 2. It's really important to have sustained in your 2. That's why Bomba's Hammer is so good. Or you can go into a MAGES. or you can go in. I think that's kind of it, actually. It's just probably Magus, Toxic. You can go Divine as well if they have healers instead of Toxic Blade. So I would say Divine, Magus, Pythags, or Toxic Blade. Just depends on how you want to play it. Personally, Toxic Blade is a lot of fun. And, you know, it's a video game. If you want to have fun, that is how you do it, and it's good. So you can have fun while slamming, right? It gives you your 15 pen, which enables your Reaver more. It's the only 15 flat pen item left in the game for mages. So yeah, and it's good to heal, obviously. So yeah, that's a build that you can do. And then you go into a beads. You go into a Aegis. Or you can get a shell. Or if you really, really want to have fun, you go Heavenly Wings. And you go crazy with the auto attack one. The one that if you're auto attacking, it stays on for 8 seconds total, as long as you keep auto attacking someone. And you just zoom around. It's so much fun. But why you don't build like a normal starter, in my personal opinion, for post, is just because Bombus Hammer with post, you can constantly have your 2-up, and you're also just constantly ability resetting, and he's a very, very frustrating gun to play against, just because it is really, really fast, and he just zooms around, and he's just annoying. He's just a very, very annoying gun to face. So, yeah. So now we are going. Ooh. So now, yeah, Bombus Post, one of the most fun things I've ever played. If you have not played it or tried it, I recommend trying it. It is so much fun. Actually, so much fun. Yeah. And then to the last god, we are going to go into a Thoth. Thoth is back. Unfortunately. Obviously he still has his counters. He's not really a mana user. But this god is a uber rank stomping god. He got conduit buff, which helps him clear. The reason why the conduit buff is so important for him is because now you can 3-1 the wave, clear the wave, and then start poking. So you only need, I believe it's 2 1s, and then you can poke. Or you can just full 1 the person through the melees, almost kill the melees, and poke at the same time. So he's definitely an annoying character to face right now. Conduit buff really helped him out, in my personal opinion. He's a bit different. He uses Chronos Pendant, obviously, so you just go into Chronos Pendant. He uses Flat Pen really well, just because of his passive. So getting another Flat Pen item actually does quite a bit for this god. The problem when you go a Flat Pen item is you cannot kill frontline for a while. He struggles really, really, really hard to kill frontline. That's just in general this god, not really the best at doing it until late game. So probably you can either go Divine, obviously Divine if they have a healer. You can go Magus as well. He's pretty good with Magus, because then your goal with Magus is just to spam poke the other mid laner or jungler that walks in front of you. You can poke frontline. It's just not that meaningful. Poke frontline. You can go Mirrodin with him, which is personally what I've been going. I like it. It gives you a little bit of percent pen. But this guy is a spammer. He's an ability procer, and that's just like kind of the style he is. Am I queuing? After I'm done here. And then you go into a Reaver. Slam dunk a little Reaver ski. I'm bankrupt genetics, so I don't know if I can queue. And you're just spamming your buttons. You go into a little shard ski. Now when you get shard, I'm at like 2900 or 2800, one of the two. You go a little arb shard. I also have to do my Marvel ad soon. Very soon. So I would only be able to play one. So I go a little shard. When you're on this build that you spike. Will do. I'll be back though. I'll be back in the queues if you're still queuing. Do a little shard. And then when you're on this spike, you're kind of pogging. He still can struggle to kill frontline sometimes as well. It just depends. on the gun, or like the front line that you're facing. And then you can go last. Last item, I kind of shit last items, I'll be honest. You probably just go into E-Staff for spam procking. You can go Soul Gem, or you can go. I mean, his last items are so bad, man. I mean, you can technically go Rod. His last items are so bad, but E-Staff I would say is the best one. E-Staff for sure. Just because it's cheaper than Rod. Soul Gem is okay. It's just really hard to get it procced up. But I would say E-Staff is your last item on Thoth. But with Thoth, the difference between all the other gods is with Thoth, you just want to be like slam dunking poke and being very, very annoying. Oh my god, I've been blocking the god the whole time. That is criminal. Oh my god. That is criminal. And then you want to go into beads. And then you want to go in Aegis. And then you have the option. Usually you want to go Aegis and Thoth. It's going to be pretty rough. Slam dunk a little Shellski. Or get a Heavenly if you need it. Probably not go Heavenly on Thoth though. I would say Shell or Aegis is your only options. So yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be the build for Thoth. Different god, different style. He's just a poking god. He's kind of like a full poking god and just a frustrating god to face, and then that's kind of all you do with him. So yeah, that's going to be it. That's the top 5 mages and their builds for ranked. Hope you enjoyed the content, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, and then make sure to comment and subscribe as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.